The way you know that the Holy Spirit has been present is when you see the gifts the Spirit left. I was not an athletic kid. To say that is a little bit of an understatement. I had no coordination, but on top of it, I had a serious fear of pain. So I was never going for the ball. Nothing was worth a sprained anything to me. I wasn't that kid. But I was jealous of the other kids who were. Whenever anybody had great athletic ability, I always envied them, including my brother, who was a great athlete, even my dad. Because at a family reunion, if somebody said, "Hey, who wants to play volleyball?" my dad would be there serving the ball, while I was running the other direction, climbing a tree or hiding behind a house somewhere so no one would ask me to do it. One day I was complaining to my mother about this. I said, "I just wish I were better at sports or playing games." And my mom said, "Honey, that's just not your gift." Father Matthew Clark was a priest of the Albany Diocese who was on special assignment in Rome back in the 1970s. And on one Tuesday morning, the phone rang in his office, and it was a cardinal calling from the Vatican, telling him that he had just been chosen by the Pope as the next bishop of Rochester, New York. And he was shocked. He was told that the announcement would not be made of the Pope's decision for a couple weeks, and so he had to be silent and tell no one about it. The only person he was allowed to talk to was his spiritual director. So he made an appointment and went to talk to the spiritual director and said, "I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how to be a bishop. I'm only 41. Why me? What am I going to do?" And the spiritual director said, "Trust your gifts." The reason we can trust our gifts is the exact same reason that jealousy is a sin. It's because our gifts don't come from us. They come from the Holy Spirit. Who are we to question why God gives someone a particular gift and someone else a different gift? That's all from God. So not only is jealousy of other people a waste of time, it's sinful because it ignores where the gift comes from. Arrogance is the exact same way. How could we be arrogant or prideful about our gifts if we're good at doing something in particular or we're better than others at a certain thing? Those aren't our strengths, they're God's gifts to us. So jealousy and arrogance make no sense. We don't get credit for having a gift. Not at all. The only thing we can take credit for is putting them to use. It's our job to develop our gifts and use them. But the source of those gifts, that's God. We don't get any credit for that. Have you ever noticed that when someone is really smart, we often call them a genius? I know I've used that term. He's a genius, or what a genius she is. But that's not how that word was intended by the ancients. For the Greeks, genius was not something you were. It was something you had. He has a genius, or she has a genius. It was a gift like all the others. It wasn't your identity. It was a particular gift that you were given that you could use. So someone who has a genius can put that to use for great eloquence or for creativity or intelligence. But that's not who they are. That's a gift. And just like all of our gifts, they are tools that were given to us by our Maker that we are supposed to use and then return. So this week, each of us has to ask ourselves, what are the gifts I've been given? What is it that God gave me to put to use? Am I doing it? One of the most common conversations I have as a pastor is talking to parishioners and saying, would you ever consider doing fill in the blank? Would you ever consider being a lector? Would you ever consider being a Eucharistic minister? Would you ever consider visiting the sick? Or serving on this committee? Those are questions that I ask all the time, conversations that I have with people weekly. It's wonderful when you see someone using their gifts. You know, Matthew Houle, who's joining us now for the summer, he has many gifts. If you've read The Evangelist over the past few years, you've seen his articles from time to time in the Seminarian's Diary. You can tell he's got a gift for writing. He's obviously got a gift for intelligence and communication. He was a teacher for 10 years. He's got the gift of faith, and he's putting it all to use. He's directing all of it. It's not going to waste. It took him a while, as it did me, to get where he is, because he was discerning, what is God asking me to do with these gifts? But now it's clear, and so he's all in. And that's what God needs from us, too, for us to be all in. The Holy Spirit has a plan that only you can fulfill, and a plan that only I can fulfill. It depends on us using our gifts. So how can we identify our gifts, develop them, and put them to use to serve others with them so that this needy, tired world can become the way God has dreamed it can be?